Hello, my name is Joseph Nigro, and this video is called Surviving Boomtown's Waste. What I'm referring to is waste from the Balkan oil fields, which happens to be radioactive waste. This is waste that North Dakota doesn't want and by law does not even allow. Recently, Glasgow, Montana and Valley County residents were made aware that 10,000 tons of radioactive waste was going to be coming in to Valley County. Now, we're talking 4-foot cubes, 3 tons per cube, put together by a process called T-norm. Now, as you can see on the screen, what T-norm stands for, and one of the problems we're having here is that T-norm is an untested process. Now, the Valley County Refuse Board actually had a meeting with a company by the name of Diet Environmental on December 18th of 2012. The Valley County Refuse Board, District Number 1, accepted a proposal by Diet Environmental on the very first night they had their meeting. As you can see on the bottom, how it was the motion was carried through. Here's the problem. Valley County literally had one presentation and then they voted on it. There was no cost analysis performed, no background check on Diet Environmental, no background check on Diet Environmental's management, and no background checking on the T-norm process. Basically, Valley County Refuse Board went in completely blind. Now, in the newspaper I read an article called Valley County to cash in on it. Well, the proposal from the Dyad is to pay Valley County landfill $50 a ton. And this is supposed to be a bargain for Valley County because currently the landfill here receives $25 per ton for solid waste. Now, why would Valley County District Number 1 make such a huge investment without checking it all? Only $50 a ton when other places, other states, are getting a hell of a lot more than $50 a ton for radioactive waste. Well, the Great Falls Tribune on March 1st, 2013 had an article in the newspaper, which was the first public appearance of any information regarding the Dyad proposal and Valley County Refuse Board acceptance of 10,000 tons of radioactive waste. This means that for 72 days, no one in Valley County had any knowledge of the Dyad Environmental Refuse Board agreement. No news was made of the agreement to the public of Valley County. On March 6, 2013, information related to the Dyad Refuse Board agreement first appeared in Valley County locally. A meeting was set for the public on March 19th, 2013 at the Valley County Courthouse. This was later changed to Cottonwood Inn by radio on the 19th. Many people, including myself, never heard the radio announcement. On March 19th, the same day, Stan Ozark of KLTZ Mix 93 interviewed Phil Hanamaki of Diet Environmental. No minutes. Okay, I'm going to go back to that in just a second. I should mention that at the meeting that night, on March 19th, no minutes were taken, and there was a presentation, a short presentation done by Dyad, and there was a subsequent Q&A that was done. Well, conflicting statements were actually made between the Stan Ozark interview and Daniel McNair, who is the president of Diet Environmental. And this was regarding conflicting statements that were made in the liability of accidental leaching. Now, according to Phil Hanamaki, in the interview with Mix 93 KLTZ, Philip stated that if something went wrong and Diet Environmental was no longer around and leaching occurred, that the liability would go back to the original oil company, okay, the source. Well, at the meeting with the president of Diet Environmental, Daniel McNair, he actually stated that the liability would first, of course, go to Diet Environmental, Then, if, God forbid, Diet Environmental no longer existed, it would go back to Valley County. This is a huge conflict. Phillips is telling us that we're covered no matter what. Daniel McNair tells us we're basically screwed. And I'll explain why in just a few minutes that we would absolutely, without a doubt, be screwed. Let's talk a little bit about Diet Environmental. Diet Environmental team has a very questionable past. In researching currently, Diet Environmental has 3 addresses listed. Okay, and there is more than one Diet Environmental. There is literally Diet Environmental, which no longer exists. Then there is Diet Environmental LLC, which currently does exist. So it seems to be a bit of an issue as to who Diet Environmental really is. The president of Diet Environmental has had at least 8 companies under his name, all in the same residence, living in Rexburg, Idaho. Now, basically, I'm going through and I'm looking at the history, and I'm seeing that these companies are open for a very short period of time and then close up. Sort of like the original Diet Environmental, which no longer exists, did. Now, if we go by what the president of Diet Environmental stated, Daniel McNair stated that if they're no longer around, then we're on our own. Well, guess what? Odds are Diet Environmental LLC is not going to be around, at least not for more than another year, if you go by some of the history of the way he owned companies in the past. Now, one of the problems we're getting here in Glasgow and Valley County, there's people who, they want to say something, but they're kind of afraid. They don't want to sign our petition because they don't want their name attached. They know the mayor, they know the people on the board, and they basically say they don't want to get involved. Problem is, they don't realize that they're already involved. As a matter of fact, you're probably involved too, and I'll tell you why in just a second. The people that are involved, this is especially true in Valley County, Montana, where you're either passively involved and you do absolutely nothing, where you're now going to have 10,000 tons of radioactive material 3 miles from your home. You could get aggressive and tell people how you feel. That obviously is the best way to go, and in my opinion, the only way to go. Because if you don't tell people where you stand, you're going to end up getting hurt. Now, this is a huge threat to Valley County. We have no idea of how this can impact the local environment, including the water and air supply. There is no idea currently of the cost to bury the blocks or perform routine evaluations on the surrounding area. There's no idea how this can impact tourism or hunting. This may only be the beginning, too. There seems to be no enforced restrictions on what occurs with radioactive filter socks. And this goes all the way back to North Dakota. There are radioactive filter socks just sitting around, as well as equipment with radioactive contamination. Radioactive socks are being illegally dumped throughout North Dakota and Montana. As a matter of fact, at the meeting on the 19th of March, we were told by one of the representatives of DIAD that, regardless of what we do, people are going to illegally dump radioactive filter socks. So we might as well take the stuff anyway, the 10,000 tons. So I guess as he sees it, we could either get 200 pounds of illegally dumped socks or 200 pounds of illegally dumped socks and 10,000 more, 10,000 tons more. Why not? See, I need your help. I need the media's help. There's only so much I can say. Nobody at the moment is listening. Or not enough people are listening. Anybody, CNN, HLN, even though I know you're spending a really long time on the Jodi Arias case, but that's okay. MSNBC, NPR, anybody, even Fox News would help, because what we're talking about is a very small town here, Glasgow, Montana. If you take a look at our landfill is only 2.3 miles away from our high school, and just the red line represents Earl Elementary, just one of the elementary schools in town, which is only 3.4 miles away. We need your help. We need your help to sign our petition and get noticed. Please, just, by the way, I want to go back to something I was saying earlier. If you don't want to get involved because you don't think this can happen to you, just imagine Just imagine if someone told you that they're going to plant 10,000 tons of radioactive material 3 miles from your home. See, if it happens here, it can happen anywhere. And if we allow it to happen here, all we're doing is we're making room for them to say, we're going to start with 10,000 tons. Next is going to be 20,000. Hey, we got 20,000. Why not another 10,000 tons? Our refuse board could use the money. It can happen to anyone, and if we don't speak now, you can't speak after it's done. Thank you for listening.